Hello and welcome to the Post Up Show. I'm Cyrus Rogers, also known as at Cyrus J Rogers. That's Kaunda Chama. You can see his handle. I'm not even going to big him up. How you doing, Kay?
I'm good, sir. How you doing, man?
Nah, just chilling, doing what we do as the NBA season progresses. We're going to be talking about the man, the legend, the one and only unanimous MVP, Stephen Curry. What a performance he gave us the other day. 62 points against the Portland Trail Blazers. It set the world alight. What did you think of the performance?
I think it was great, and in the words of Damian Lillard, obviously, who dishes out crazy performances, he was like, you gotta be, as much as you dish it out, you've got to be you got to be able to take it. And I think he took it well on the chin, and I like that camaraderie at the end where he gave Steph, all that love to say, well done, bro. But look, I think it was a necessary statement game for Steph Curry, because Cyrus, when it was discovered that Klay Thompson had gone down with injury, everybody literally wrote off the Warriors as if they don't have Steph Curry. That was the funniest thing. And I think it's also us to blame as the fans and the analysts, because we've been selling Steph and Klay as a package deal. It's the Splash Brothers. Ever since we came up with that handle, the Splash Brothers, it's like one can't do without the other. And I know what happened in the finals before the last, where when Klay went down, it sort of sealed a win for the Raptors in a way. It changed everything. But we also forget that Kevin Durant was also out due to injury, and the team was in a bit of disarray. And, just that Klay Thompson injury was the sort of final nail in the coffin, if you will. Yeah. But back to what happened that night, I think Steph Curry himself, he said, all this disrespect that I've been getting, okay, without Klay, you won't do much. With a whole bunch of youngsters, you're going to struggle. Much like arguably the greatest of all time, Michael Jordan, he took it personal, sir. He took it personal. he said it himself.
Cue the Jordan meme, I took it personally. But the thing that was really interesting about that entire showing was that it was Steph doing what he does best. I mean, these are the stats from the game itself. And I mean, 62 points is no mean feat. We were talking a bit earlier that 62 points is a higher career high than LeBron James, Kevin Durant, Anthony Davis, Giannis, and a host of other current really, really top level players. But look at this. 18 of 31 field goal attempts he made. He made 8 3-point shots, and crazily, this is the stat that gets me, is the 18 of 19 free throws. His free throw percentage is through the roof this season. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But the thing about Steph was that, this is a 2-time MVP, yet people tend to think like, well, what is he really going to do? And Steve Kerr actually came out and said this a couple of days ago. He said, you look at the likes of Giannis, Anthony Davis, LeBron James, these guys are almost specimens. They're freaks of nature. They're so gifted athletically. Steph doesn't necessarily have that. He's 6'3", is a relatively lightweight, but what he doesn't have in terms of frame and physicality and athleticism, he makes up for in skill. And we see that pretty much every single time he's on the court. One of the key things was he was around for some of the terrible season that was last season for the Warriors. And then the beginning of this season, he was ice cold by his standards. That's the key thing here, is that we have to remember, by his standards, he was playing terribly. He was still averaging 20-odd points, but everyone was like, oh my word, he just can't buy a three-pointer. Now we're seeing Steph go absolute beast mode, potentially even greater than beast mode. Thanos be looking at Steph like, okay, maybe he deserves the rings. So, we're definitely
well, he's already got 3 of them.
He's just a couple more to go, and then he's definitely got the Thanos. But
then he's gonna snap the league.
Let's not, hey, because then if he does that, I think that's the end of it. What's really interesting though is that you're seeing a lot of support from other players, and I think that's what was great to see. I think Steph is actually a beloved person in the NBA. There are a lot of people who dislike his image because he seems a little too clean cut and what have you. But when you look at it, he seems to have lots of friends in the NBA, people who really love watching him do what he does. And I'm not going to say they don't mind getting beaten by him. Everybody does, but they're happy that he succeeds, as opposed to just rattling off more reasons why he's not that great.
Look, Cyrus, I think if you look at it holistically, this is the story of Steph Curry. I mean, I think I've had many a discussion with you about his would you call it rookie scouting report? No,
Yeah.
what do you call it? Where they go before
Yeah.
they become
It is his
rookies.
sort of rookie scouting report, yeah.
Rookie scouting report. It was always he's too small. He lacks in physicality. His speed isn't all that much. If you remember, coming into the league, Cyrus, we did not expect Steph Curry to achieve half of what he's achieved because of what his scouting report looked like.
Consensus view was down on him, yeah.
Yes, very down on him. But I think against all odds, he's been an overachiever. And Cyrus, when you talk about a guy who can put up a 62-point night at the beginning of the season, and against a team like the Portland Trailblazers, who are not to be taken. These are the guys who met the Los Angeles Lakers in the first round. In the playoffs last season, and it looked like they could have shook the Lakers if the Lakers were not steady. I mean, now they've got the man they call Logo Lillard. He's also shooting them from step range. So he has to be. They had to be very careful, and I think it was an opportunity for Steph to remind us all that he's gone nowhere, and he is a package unto himself. And when you look at Cyrus, I'm glad you mentioned the fact that you see him as a beloved player. Now, let's take it back to his second MVP. Cyrus, he was a unanimous MVP.
Yeah.
That speaks volumes, which means
really
even
does.
LeBron himself, who was his biggest competitor in that season, was like, guys, let's keep
this
it
guy.
real.
Yeah.
Steph was the man. You know what I mean? Steph was James Harden was
incredible.
Like, Steph was the man. So you can tell that there's mutual respect there. And like you said, people maybe might like being beaten by him, but I think they respect being beaten by him. Not that they would disrespect any being beaten by anyone else, but there are times when but that was Steph. And when you look at that 62 points, Cyrus, for a minute, I was just like, okay, because essentially it was Steffing. You know what I mean?
Basically.
Sometimes we take advantage of these guys and we take them for granted. We're like, but that's what Steph does.
We do that. Though he'd never done this, and that's the key thing. Is that I think his previous career high was in the 50s, which is still incredible. But to get to 62 it takes a heck of a lot of doing. And I mean, when you look at his season stats, they are remarkable, Kaunda. I mean, he's averaging 32 points this season. Even like throwing in 5.3 rebounds a game, then coming in with 6.4 assists. But it's the 3-point percentage and specifically the free throw percentage that are really up there. 36.9% is absolutely ridiculous from 3-point range. But then almost 100% from free throw range, 98.2. I mean, you can't do anything against Steph. You can't foul him because he's going to make you pay. So he's one of those, he's an accumulator. You have to stop him when you can. And he's got such a great handle that he can get past people and then also find his teammates when they're open. And that's been one of the key problems, is that when he has been finding people and they have had open looks, they've been missing. And so now they're starting to hit their shots. The Warriors are starting to hit their stride. It also helps that Draymond Green is back, so they've got a little bit more of a defensive shape as well. But I guess let's go into the question, because we actually haven't answered the question, which is, was it too early to write Steph's season off? Do you think this might be like a nice little high point and then you might table or plateau? Because I mean, he scored another 30 points against the Sacramento Kings just after that, so he's really on a hot streak.
So Cyrus, if you ask me, I think this is, like I called it earlier, a statement game, Cyrus, because a lot of people were talking a lot of smack, and I think Steph is a human being, and it was essential that he reminded everybody that, look, they're going through turbulent times, but he's by no means close to being done. And I know it took him scoring 62 points for them to win, but obviously he's not going to have to be doing that kind of heavy lifting all the time, although he needed to do that because he needed to get something off his chest in that game. But then again, pouring in more than 30 points in the game straight after goes to show you that it's still Steph. And if you look at his assist numbers, obviously he's sharing the ball more, and that's why maybe he won't score as much as he did in the previous game, and he doesn't need to score 60 all the time. Look at that, 6.4 assists. To me, that is 13 points. Already he's helping in creating 13 points. But Cyrus, this is a 90-50-50 man. You don't get many 90, 50, 50 men out there, Cyrus. More than 90 from the free throw line.
40, it's crazy. It's crazy, right?
And more than 50% from 3-point range. 50% field goal. Cyrus,
yeah, so 50-40 is ridiculous.
This is a remarkable player, and I think we are seeing one of the greatest shooters of our time. I mean, if I might just sidebar slightly, if we look at two of the guys we consider to be the other greatest shooters of our time, Reggie Miller averaged 18.2 points per game, and this is a Hall of Famer, inducted into the Hall of Fame in 2012. Ray Allen, another one, 18.9 points a game, Cyrus. That's Ray Allen. Ray Allen and Reggie Miller, these were the Stephs before Steph came along, right?
Yeah,
and obviously you got your likes of Larry Bird, but obviously Larry Bird was not lighting it up that heavily from 3-point range. Like he was killing the mid-range and that. But I'm talking about like
anywhere you gave him the ball, yeah.
Pure 3-point killers, Reggie and Ray are right up there. But Steph has literally blown the lid on anything they ever did, and he's not yet done. And I think Cyrus, he needed his spec back. So I think let's put that spec back on his name. Put the spec back on his name.
It's firmly back. It's firmly back. So look, we're going to close off the show with a discussion around Steph being so good. Does that mean that the Warriors now have a chance of not just getting into the postseason, because their early season form was terrible, but now they might even seem as if they could go deep into the season? Do you think that with the pieces around Steph, they have a chance? Because the likes of Kelly Oubre have blown hot and cold, and more cold than hot. Do you think the Warriors have got what it takes?
Cyrus, my biggest worry is the pieces around Steph and Draymond, because obviously those are two players that have gone not only deep into the postseason, but have gone to the point of winning it all. There's not too many other players, if at all, that have gone deep into the postseason, and that's a concern for me, because once you're done with the regular season, that postseason, Cyrus, is a different kettle of fish. It's a different level of pressure. This is when you see the likes of LeBron shooting less than 50% from the free throw line. That's how much pressure, there is. Although
some people thrive under that.
Best free throw shooter in the league.
Yeah, we will go there. But then look at Rondo. You look at Rondo, and then the playoffs seem to bring out the absolute best in him when the stakes are, the stakes are high, things are on the line.
But you see, Cyrus, Rondo, that's a multiple championship winner right now. He's won with the Celtics now. He's won with the Lakers. But I'm talking about youngsters who haven't been to the finals yet. Youngsters that haven't seen even the second round of the playoffs. They might choke a little bit, if you will. But I hope the leadership of Steph can take them. But I don't see the Warriors making it past the second round. Cyrus, there's a lot of inexperience on that squad. There's a lot of potential, but I think there's a lot of inexperience.
And in the past, when they've had the championship runs, they've had a really good bench mob. I mean, when you look at somebody like Andre Iguodala really leading the second unit, and the likes of Sean Livingston as being part of that, Maurice Spates, they had some really great...
of David West. There's some big guys in there.
I mean, even one of our favorite Nigerian players, who is now a champion because of the Warriors, we look at...
Festus, I blocked. Festus, I blocked Blake Griffin Ezeli. Don't forget that.
Festus Ezeli. They had such a great bench. I don't think they have anywhere close to that. Though it's great to see the likes of Wiseman looking really, really good as a rookie. The problem is that the drop, in terms of when the guys start to take some time off being on court, you're starting five, you really see a real dip in production. The likes of Jordan Poole is a nice player, or Juan Toscano, really nice players, but then it's the other guys that just aren't necessarily delivering. I'm not a big fan of Kevon Looney. I think he fits in the system, but he's one of those where, what are you really getting from him from a production perspective? The important thing here is seeing the likes of Andrew Wiggins come to the party, and who knows, that might happen. He's started to show a little bit more composure and being able to knock down some shots, but we'll have to see a lot more more. So I think I tend to agree with you in terms of where you see the Warriors going. But we're going to have to call it there, Kaunda. We've come to the end of the post-up show this week. We will be back with another episode next week where we'll talk about some stuff that I know you're really going to enjoy. Before we go, Kay, anything in particular you want to look forward to this week? Are there teams that you're looking out for? Because I definitely have my eye on the Phoenix Suns.
I was about to say that, Cyrus. You took the words right out of my mouth. I'm really enjoying watching the Suns. I want to see what they can get up to. And I'm also enjoying watching the Atlanta Hawks. I think that squad is really impressive at the moment. So in the West Coast, apart from the usual, I got my Lakers, I got my Clippers, I got my Nuggets, but the Suns for me are good. I really want to see if the Brooklyn Nets can be as good as we've expected them. But it's Atlanta in the East for me and the Suns in the West, yeah?
Yeah, the Suns rising in the West for you. I'm definitely going to be watching the Philadelphia 76ers as well. There's something special brewing in Philly, and nobody's talking about it. So we're going to have to give them some time at some point. But it's been a really great show. Kaunda, thank you so much. And thank you, everybody, for watching. Make sure you like the video, subscribe, and tell your friends about the Post Up Show. We're here regularly. We are going to be doing it as regularly as possible. We'll have a show once a week, potentially twice a week going forward. But from us here, just enjoy watching the NBA.